people from all over the place on this call, from New York to like West Coast to every single place. So it's an honor to have you on here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Breakfast of Champions call. My name is James Zhang. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. And I got a really important topic that I needed. I never share any message unless I'm preaching to myself. But the question is this real question. Have you ever been in a place where you're looking around at your other partners, you're looking at other people in the business, and you see them growing, you see them expanding, you see them crushing it, and you're looking at yourself and you're like, when's my time going to come? I feel like I'm doing the do. I feel like I'm plugging away. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, and yet my time is not here yet. Why is this happening? And you feel a little stuck. Have you felt that way before? I've absolutely felt that way. In fact, I deal with that feeling probably every single day. But it wasn't until I learned a really important principle that helped me to counter those feelings, realize the truth, and be able to expand faster as well. And if you take these couple of points I'm going to share with you today and these principles work for everyone, right? They're like gravity. Doesn't matter if you believe in gravity or not, they will work for you. But if you understand them and you work with them, then you too will see your next level of success in your business and life. So today, I want to chat with you about those principles. How does this all work and what is the principle? I'm going to draw from a biblical story, not here to preach, but what I like about the Bible is it works. So there's a story of the talents. And if you're not familiar with this story, it is a master and he has a couple servants in his household. And the master gives his servants what's called a talent. Now, these talents are measures of money. And he gives one servant one talent, another servant two talents, and then another servant five. So, master goes away and he comes back and does some accounting. He asked the servant that has five talents, "Hey, what'd you do with it?" The servant said, "Hey, I took it, I invested it, I multiplied it to 10." Master's like, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Because you are faithful with a little, I'll give you and make you faithful with much." Awesome. The person with two talents did the same thing, multiplied it to four. Master says the same thing. Awesome. Well done, good and faithful servant. Boom. Here's more. The interesting part is the person with one talent. The person with one talent responded in a different way. The one talent person said, "Master, you're a cruel master. I've seen how you do things. I don't really like how you do things. So I took your one, I hid it away just in case, and here's your one back." And the master responded with with some anger. He was like, basically, you don't deserve this. Take your one talent and give it to the one that has 10. And this was an interesting principle because it has so much to do with our business, how we view life as well too. Because some might say that in this story, isn't that unfair? Right? You look at this and this is a crippling principle and mindset that I had struggled with for so long because you could look at this be like, why would the person with one talent, they were given a little bit, they were given a bad hand. Have you ever felt like you had a bad hand in your life, in your business? Maybe you're looking at your business, you're like, you know what? I didn't start with a lot of social media following. I didn't have a lot of friends. I'm really shy. Like I didn't have much success before. It's really unfair that I started with this. And look at Jill. Look at Joe. They're an influencer. Look at them. They just made a post and it blew up. Look at them. Of course it's easy for them because they've already had so much more. And it's not to discount, we all have a different hand in life, but there's a perspective that sometimes we can fall victim to, which is, well, of course, look at them. They were given more. That's why they're doing better, right? The story of the talents is interesting because that's actually not the case. Like that's not the point of the story. The truth is we all do have a different starting point. But the difference is how they stewarded what they were given leads into a different outcome. So I just want to encourage everyone here. We all have a different starting point. We all have different levels of success. But what's great about business, what's great about life, is it does not matter where you start, you can change how you finish. But we have to have the right mindset about things, right? So going back to the story, so one could say, well, that's unfair. Well, yeah, the truth is we all are dealt a different hand. That's just how life is. We can't control the things that we can't control, right? Jim Rohn, a master philosopher, said this: you can't control the blowing of the wind, the circumstances, the environment, the things that happen to all of us. But you can control the set of the sail, your philosophies. You can control how you feel, how you perceive different things, right? So one part of this is we're all given a different hand. Another part of the story is all right. Well, then we have to steward what it is that we have, and then we can be entrusted with more. So, what's the principle? The principle is this: is that you will be entrusted with more dependent on how you steward with what's in your hand right now. So, if you want to have a bigger team, how are you taking care of your team right now? If you want to have more business, how are you taking care of the business that you have right now? If you want to have more influence, how are you stewarding the influence that you have right now? Let me dive into 3 points of these principles, and I hope that you can reflect right now with your own circumstances, because that's how I am too. Because if I'm really honest with you, just the other day I had a pity party over myself. I'm like, man, I wanted so much more, and man, people are exploding, and why is this happening? It doesn't matter what level you're at, you're always going to feel and deal with these feelings. So here's 3 things that I always have to remind myself on how to steward what we have now to get to the next level. All right. Number one is this: don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise small beginnings. Small is relative, by the way. Let's take money. Some people say $100 is a lot of money. Some people say $100 is a little bit of money. Small is a relative term, right? We can always view what we have right now as small. You can look at your business at 1,000 a month, that's small. You can look at your business at 10,000 a month, it's small. 100,000, it's small. 1,000,000 a month, it's small. It all can be small. So don't despise whatever your small is right now, because that's all you got. That's your seed, right? That's where the miracle comes from, though. It's the starting point of all achievement. So how should we then view what we have right now? Be grateful. Be grateful. So I remember I was having this pity party, and then I had to flip the switch. And I'm like, all right, let me just turn it to gratitude. I'll put it this way: ingratitude repels success. Ingratitude repels success. Why is this the case? Well, think if you're a parent and you have a child, and the child is complaining, they're moaning, they are like super, super not in a good mood, and they're entitled. And they're like, mommy, daddy, what you gave me isn't enough. Give me more. If a child comes up to the parent with a entitled attitude, will the parent want to enable the child to continue to have that? I don't think so. But at flip side, if the child comes up to the parent and is like, I'm so grateful for you. I love you. Thank you for what you've already given to me. I love if you can help me with this one other thing. It's a matter of the heart. We have to check ourselves in our hearts, and only you know what that is for yourself. How do you actually feel about your current circumstances? Right? So, for example, in my business, of course, I want more. I have big goals, I have big aspirations. I want to 10x everything. But then I look at what I have right now, and I look at even one client, and I look at even one partner, or even if you don't have anything, I look at that I'm in an environment, I'm in a company, I'm in a team that most people don't have. And I have to be truly grateful for what's already in my hand. I think about a partner, even if I have one, I'm like, I can't believe someone else actually decided to follow. Well, James, they're not doing anything. Well, at least they said yes. What's one yes? That's one yes more than most other people have in their entire career. Can you truly be grateful on what's in your hand right now? If you have a customer that's actually using your product, that's using your service. How amazing is it that they trusted you to actually say yes? Whatever it is that we have in our hand. What if you have a team? Well, man, my upline could have done more for me. My sponsors, where did they go? Blah, blah, blah. Well, the fact that you have an environment, you have systems, you have tools, you have a company, you have anything. I mean, that's amazing. There are people right now that don't have a home. There are people right now that don't have a place that they feel safe. It's like, wow, the fact that I have that, you're on this call, you have a call. What? Do you guys kind of see what I'm saying here? Gratitude is so important to always start out at. So, practically speaking, every single day, can you start being grateful for the things that are already in your hands? If not, you're never going to be able to level up to the next level of your leadership and your life. Okay, it took a lot of time in that first point, but it's super important. Start with a grateful heart. And you check on this all the time. Number two, how else do we multiply? How else do we get to the next level of your leadership and your business and your life? Going back to the story of the talents, all right? With what you have in your hands, are you having a minimalist mindset over this? Are you only good enough with doing just enough? For example, you do just enough to say that you did the work. You did just enough to make your post every day, for example. You did just enough to maybe touch base with your customer. You did just enough. It's like you have a checkbox and you're like, I'll just go down the list. But successful people, what they realize is this: successful people realize that they always do more than what they're paid for. Now, this is counterculture. Let me be real. I'm a horrible employee. See, the employer mindset, the 9 to 5 mindset is this: do just enough where you don't get fired, but don't do more where you don't get seen and you're given more responsibility. True or not true? You just want to do just enough where you are not in the red zone where they want to lay you off, but you don't want to get so good that they see that you have potential and they like entrust you with more stuff. You literally just want to do the minimal amount so you can get paid. Well, that kind of works in a job, kinda. I would also submit that is not really going to work long term. It absolutely does not work in entrepreneurship. You know why most people fail in entrepreneurship? It's not because of lack of money, lack of time, lack of ability. It's because we're not willing and we can't actually come to grips that when you look at the mirror every single day. Entrepreneurship is such an interesting level playing field because your income and your results are glaring at you every single day, and they are a reflection of your philosophies, your attitude, and your actions that you've done in the past 90 days. So many people, we have ego that gets bruised because I'd rather not actually come to grips about what my results are. I don't want to do that. I don't want to see how sucky I am in certain departments. I don't like that. You don't like that. No one likes that. But if you embrace the growth journey and you understand that it's powerful because business is a personal development wrapped around a compensation plan. And if you realize then that you can change, that you can grow, then what you start to realize is the secret to getting to your next level of success is don't do just enough, don't do the minimal, do the maximum. Always do more than what you are getting paid for. So, in a network marketing corollary, I'll just use some titles in our company, Partner Co. With these cool titles. You do a certain amount, you get paid a certain amount. Let's just say one common title is one called manager. To get manager in this company, you're doing a couple $1,000s of sales in a week. Okay. Average manager makes like 1,000 plus a month, for example. As a manager, are you doing officer level work? Officer is almost a 6 figure level. Officer is a top 1%. Are you doing more than what you're getting paid for? How would an officer act in this situation? For example, all right, customer buys a product from you. The minimal amount that you can do is, well, they bought it from me. Cool. You plug them into some groups, you plug them into customer support. Great. But how do you take it to the next level? Can you follow up with them? Can you troubleshoot with them? When they have a problem or a question, can you find the answer for them? Can you love on them as a person? Can you develop a relationship with them? Now, you don't have to be their best friend, you don't have to be on their speed dial, but can you do more than what you're paid for? You're like, it's not worth my time. It makes me 50 bucks, 100 bucks. Well, how do you cherish that one? How do you cherish the seed? How do you cherish the little, quote unquote, that you've been given so that it can become more? Always get in the habit of doing more than you're paid for. Do you show up early? Do you come off late? Do you ask for help? Do you support your leadership? Do you find ways to give more value to your social media? Are you finding ways to be able to just give people a little bit extra? You see, success is actually really simple. All you have to do is look at what most other people are doing and don't do that. Look at what everyone else is doing and do just a little bit more. Most people don't follow up with their prospect. Most people don't follow up with their customer. Most people don't follow up with their partner. So, what if you just followed up a little bit more? What if you actually just touched base one more touch point? And what if you did it in a way that wasn't annoying? What if you actually loved on them more? What if you actually put heart into it? What if you actually followed up like you cared about them, that your solution in your hand was something that was absolutely life transformational? Are you getting in the habit of doing more than what you're paid for? One thing I also do is, especially in a team environment, I have a heart of a volunteer, meaning that I want to say, hands up, what can I do to make this better? I'm not the leader per se in the moment, but maybe I'm someone that's coming onto the meeting. And I go to the leader, I'm like, is there something I can do? What can I do to help? How do I help with the Zoom? How do I help to make the environment better? How do I help to add any type of value? I don't have to, but I want to. Why? Because I understand these principles of harvest. I understand these principles of multiplication, that if you always do more than what you're paid for, then the principal will give you more. Does this make sense? Okay. So, your next level in leadership, you're not despising small beginnings. You're grateful for what you have. You're always doing more than what you're paid for. And here's the last part. And here's my challenge to you. I'll just use titles again in a network marketing perspective. Let's say you want to go like chairperson, 5,000, or you want to make $100,000 a month or whatever that it is. That sounds great, right? You want a team of 1,000, you want teams of hundreds of thousands, you want tons of customers. That sounds great. But here's the real question. Are you willing to take that responsibility and that ownership to steward that well? Many of us we want the result, but we're not willing to do the work that it takes to get the result. The results will take a certain type of responsibility. If you want 1,000 teammates in your team, are you willing to be the one to say, you know what, I am accountable and I will steward that well? I will be responsible to them. What does that look like? If you want 1,000 people, are you willing to take up that leadership? Are you willing to empower other leaders? Are you willing to say the buck stops at me? If it were to be, it's up to me. Are you willing to lead the call? Are you willing to raise your hand? Are you willing to challenge? Are you willing to be the one to live in a way where people will become attracted to you? What does 1,000-person team look like as a person? Here's another principle. God will never give you more than what your character can handle. It's easy to want the result. It's hard to do the work on ourselves. You're never going to get paid more. You're never going to be given more than what you can actually handle. Why? I believe God's a good father. You always want to make sure that as a parent, you give your kids enough of what they can actually steward well. So, yes, go for the desire. But more importantly, work on becoming the type of person that can steward and handle that well. For sake of example, let's give some practicals. You want 1,000 people in your team. How quickly are you to get frustrated at one teammate conflict? How are you handling the drama that is there right now? Are you the type to be disinterested? Are you the type to pass the buck to someone else? Are you the type to complain with them? Or are you the type that stands firm? Are you the type that says, no problem? Jim Rohn would always say, You want to be a miracle worker. Miracle workers are this: you give them a problem, their response is no problem. They don't know the solution, but they say no problem. Why? Because they're willing to solve the problem. Are you willing to be that type of leader? Are you willing to be that type of champion? Because if you do that with the little, if you do that with your single teammate situations, if you do that with the 10, with the 100, then, and if you do more than what you're paid for, then you will be entrusted with so much more. Now, look back, it's been so fascinating because I deal with this all the time. I'm dealing this now with my next level. I'm imagining and envisioning how do we 10x everything within our team and our organization. And I fell victim into complaining and griping, like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. And I have a baby now. And like, there's so much going on. And look at all this drama. And I'm like, no, no, no. These are principles. This is how it works. If I really want what I want, if you really want what you want, are you willing to embrace this journey? So be grateful for what you had. I started counting gratitude for all the different things that were going on. I then started thinking, how do I be better, not bitter, right? How do I be better and add more value to the things that I'm doing? How do I get more efficient? How do I get, ever really good? And then how do I step up into ownership? I started going through my organization. I started seeing the pockets of growth. I started being accountable. I started tracking. I started saying, all right, where do I need to add more support to? How do I empower? How do I coach? How do I get more organized? And now we're starting to see already, I see the flip of the turn. I already see duplication happening. I see multiplication happening. I see empowerment happening because I was willing to step up more to the next level of me. Are you willing to step up to the next level of you? Because I promise you, these are principles. Principles work whether you believe in them or not. If you steward well what you've been given right now with what's in your hand, then it will lead you to the next hand, the bigger hand that you're going to be dealt with. So my challenge to you today is this: are you willing to step up into the next level? Are you willing to take more responsibility? Are you willing to become that leader and that champion you were called to be? I'm telling you, it's so worth the journey. Yes, it'll be some challenge. Yes, it'll be some growth. But that's what life is all about, isn't it? Growing into the person that you were called to become. So I hope this was encouraging. I hope this was reflecting for you. I needed this. So think about, what does that mean for you practically? You might want to have a conversation with your coaches. You might want to take get some inventory on things. And if this was helpful, be sure to share this out there. If you want to catch any of the replays, go to bocpodcast.com for this plus so much more as well too. Other than that, I'm so proud of you for continuing to go on this growth journey. I'm so excited that you two are those crazy people that actually want to change and grow and be better. You're our types of people. So other than that, God bless. I'll turn it back to you.